Okay, so guys, today we are going to talk about clauses, all right? And clauses is like not Santa Claus, not like that. It's more like sentences. So there are two types of clauses. We have an independent clause and we have a dependent clause, right? An independent clause is like we learned in our previous lesson, and this lesson is just a continuation of that lesson. So it's a complete sentence, meaning it has a finite verb. A finite verb has a tense. So is it past? Is it present? Is it future? It tells you those things. And it most probably has a helping verb. A helping verb is also known as an auxiliary verb. And it is like was, as, was, is, am, has, all of that. Right? So it has a subject. So it tells us who or what the sentence is about. It has an action, a verb or predicate. A predicate is telling us what the reader is doing, what the subject is doing, right? And lastly, it expresses a complete thought. It tells us that something has happened, why it has happened, what has happened, right? We're going to go into examples. And then we have dependent clauses. So dependent clauses are also full sentences. They have a finite verb, which means that the verbs have a helping verb like was or is. It also has a tense. It tells us if it's past, present, or future, right? And the next important thing is that it has a conjunction. So tell me what are conjunctions in the chat. Give me examples of conjunctions. I'll give you a clue. Conjunctions join or link sentences together. Good. Quentin says and. Perfect example, right? And Sarah says because. Other examples are which, right? Whereas, either, but. Very good, Ma'awia. Although, neither, all of that is conjunctions. Therefore, however. And the thing about dependent clauses that differentiates it from independent clauses is that it cannot stand alone, right? It relies on the independent sentence or independent clause to exist, all right? So think about yourselves. You guys are dependent on your parents for food, for sustenance, for money to go to school, right? At this point in your lives, you most probably don't have that kind of that ability to fend for yourselves, right? Because you need to study and you are dependent on your parents, right? So you guys are the dependent clauses. All right, let's give examples of independent and dependent clauses. So Asif plays hockey, right? That's a sentence. Does it have a subject? Yes, Asif is the subject. Does it have a verb? It has a finite verb, plays, and it has a tense. He always plays hockey, so it is a present continuous tense. It's happening all the time and presently, right? Okay, so that's an independent clause. It can stand on its own. That's the question you need to ask yourself. Can the sentence stand on its own? But if the sentence was joined to another sentence which said, as he enjoys it, right? This is also a sentence, right? It has a subject, he. It has a verb, enjoys, right? But it cannot stand on its own because it starts with a conjunction. Can you see that? The conjunction is as in that regard. And it can only exist if it's combined to the first sentence. So if we combine the two and we say, Asif plays hockey as he enjoys it, then it can exist, right? We can't just have a sentence that says as he enjoys it. Who enjoys it? What does he enjoy? Chloe could not finish the maths test. So here it's an independent clause because we have a subject who is doing the action, Chloe, right? And what is the verb here? Finish and could. But we look at the dependent sentence that goes next to it. Although she knew all the sums, right? In the sentence, we have the subject she and we have the verb knew, but it cannot stand on its own because we need to know the information before about Chloe in order to have the second part, right? So although she knew all the sums, that is your dependent clause. Same thing here. Shazia could not catch the bus. Can stand on its own because she was so late. Cannot stand on its own because we won't know who is the she, what's the situation. Arifa quickly ate her lunch. Completes clause, complete sentence. As she was very hungry, it cannot stand on its own because it is a dependent clause, right? We don't know who's the she, we don't know what's the situation. And we're starting with a conjunction. You must work hard if you want to succeed in life. So you must work hard is a complete clause. It can absolutely stand on its own. But if you want to succeed in life, that looks like something comes after it or something comes before it, right? All right, so let's move on to examples where you guys are going to help me answer. So it says, state which part of the sentences below are dependent and independent clauses and highlight the conjunctions. So I'm going to highlight the conjunction in this first sentence. The conjunction is, if you can make it, if you can fake it, you can make it. So the conjunction is. Write for me in the chat, what is the dependent clause in the sentence? Which part of the sentence before or after the comma cannot stand on its own? Is it if you can fake it, or is it you can make it? Which one is a dependent clause? So it depends on something else to exist. Okay, some of you are saying make it. And you have right, because the words you can make it, that is an independent clause. It can stand alone on its own. So I'm going to write it in there. But the words if you can fake it is it cannot stand on its own because we don't know. It feels like something else needs to come after it, right? And also it has a conjunction if, so that's how we know it's a dependent clause. Okay, my father is reading a book, whereas my mother is sleeping. So the conjunction here is whereas. So that means that this part of the sentence is the dependent clause. So I'm just going to edit in my little table here. And we can see that the independent clause is my father is reading the book. That can stand as a sentence on its own. It doesn't need the next part of the sentence, right? So that will be my independent clause. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Jim studied in the sweet shop for his chemistry quiz. However, it was hard to concentrate because of the noise. Give me the conjunction in the sentence. Well done. However is the conjunction. Good, guys. Right, so the conjunction gives us a clue to what is the dependent clause in the sentence, right? So, guys, what is the dependent clause? I'll give you a few seconds to answer this because I know it's a little bit of typing. For those of you who struggle with spelling, I feel like autocorrect can really help you, you know, recognize spelling words. it really helped me. I used to have a problem with spelling when I was younger. And then when I got a phone and I started using autocorrect, then it made it very easy for me to see, you know, how to spell words, basically. All right, so since no one's answering me, I'm going to give you the answer. However, it was hard to concentrate because of the noise is your dependent clause, right? What? Because if we just have a sentence like this, if we just had the sentence here, however, it was hard to concentrate because of the noise, it feels like something needs to come before the sentence. This sentence cannot stand on its own, right? It doesn't have a subject. Okay, we don't know what we're talking about here. And it's like, what's the situation? Okay. And then we know that John studied in the sweet shop for his chemistry quiz. That sentence can stand on its own. So that is our independent clause. Let's look at the next one. Despite having the money, I won't buy the shoes. What is my conjunction here? No, buy is a verb. A conjunction, it doesn't always have to be in the middle of a sentence. It can also be in the beginning. Good, Sarah. Yes, guys. So the conjunction here is despite, right? Despite having the money, I won't buy the shoes. What is the independent clause in the sentence? Good, Chloe. So guys, tell me, what is the independent clause? Which part of the sentence can stand on its own and doesn't need the other part of the sentence to just be alone? Good, Marcus. Excellent. So the independent clause here, guys, is I won't buy the shoes, right? Because that sentence can stand on its own. But this part of the sentence, despite having the money, cannot stand on its own because something else comes after that, right? Despite having the money, what about that? Okay, you don't need to go unless you want to. What is the conjunction there? Good, Ma'awiyah, unless. Oops. So here, the conjunction is unless, right, guys? And what?
And the other one is won't go.
Sorry, what's it about?
Won't go.
Won't go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any won't go here. Okay, let me ask the
You
question.
won't go.
And then you guys can answer me, right? So you don't need to go unless you want to. What is my independent clause here? What sentence there can stand alone? Sorry guys, 1 second. So in number 5, you don't need to go unless you want to. What part of the sentence can stand alone? Well done, Marcus. You're on a roll today, eh? It's very nice and refreshing to see that. Okay, unless you want to then becomes our dependent clause. Good, Chloe. Well done. All right, so guys, for homework, you guys are going to complete all of these for me, right? Do the same thing that we've done together. Look for the conjunction, highlight the conjunction, and then add your dependent and independent clauses on either side of the table. And I have provided a table for you guys over here. Okay. I'll let you know the due date on Google Classroom. And yeah, that is the lesson for today. Okay.
When is it due?
Sorry?
When is it due?
I just have to think about it. I'll let you guys know on Google Class, right? Okay. All right. So in the next lesson, guys, you have natural science. I won't be having a lesson with you guys, but I will be putting all the information on Google Classroom.